Tarkov settings are everything. Spotting enemies quicker can mean the difference between winning and losing a fight. Look at the difference here. The settings I'll show today don't just provide you with a tactical advantage, but also boost performance. First, let's start with Windows settings. This is a must-have tool for both Windows 10 and 11. It's free and open source. It enhances system and network performance. You can grab it from their official GitHub page. Scroll down to the README section and just hit download. In the General tab, I disable telemetry task. Disable all telemetry from apps. I check optimize performance, optimize the network, disable sticky keys, disable smart screen. In the Windows 11 tab, same here, disable telemetry services, disable Cortana, disable news and interest, disable start menu ads. You'll notice a gaming section here. If you have compatible hardware, turn on hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, which moves stats from your CPU to your GPU for smoother performance. If you use Xbox Live for recording, then you might want to keep that enabled, but I use OBS. I also disable game bar. You can also stop automatic Windows updates and manually do them. Next is the Startup tab. Make sure to remove unnecessary programs from this list. Tarkov will take up a lot of resources, so your PC needs all the power it can get. You'll notice I have very few items here. I only keep what's really necessary for me to stream and run my SteelSeries software from my keyboard. You can also back up the state of your startup items right here by inputting a title before making any changes. Then hit Windows E, go to your disk where Tarkov is installed, Battlestate Games, EFT, right click on escape from Tarkov.exe, properties, go to this tab and check disable full screen optimizations. Click apply, okay. Next hit Windows, type graphics, go to change default graphics settings. And if you play Tarkov in windowed mode, make sure to turn on windowed game optimization for lower latency. Close this, hit Windows again, Windows security, go to device security, and turning this off improves performance. Though it comes with a slight security risk, but if you know what you're doing online, I recommend turning it off. Close this, hit Windows, power plans, set your power plan to high performance by going to settings, system, power and sleep, additional power settings. Next, for paging file, we'll ensure your paging file is set on your SSD for faster performance. You can access this by searching Advanced System Settings and navigate to Performance, Advanced Virtual Memory. And here you want to make sure that the drive that's selected is your SSD, not a hard drive. Hit OK. You might have to restart later. Hit Apply. OK. Make sure your SSD with the paging file isn't close to full. Tarkov will run much worse if it is. And lastly, make sure to turn off hardware acceleration in all apps like Discord, Chrome, or Spotify. Let me show you where it is in Discord. It is in Advanced and right here. This should be turned off. For Chrome, it is in System, and then use graphics acceleration when available is unchecked. Next, the NVIDIA control panel settings. Go to Manage 3D settings, program settings, select escape from Tarkov.exe. Image scaling off unless you need an upscaler. NVIDIA's upscaling will upscale your whole screen, including the HUD, which can look grainy. Stick with in-game upscaling if needed. Anisotropic filtering, leave it at application controlled. Tarkov already handles it in-game. Anti-aliasing set to application controlled as well. Background application max frame rate off or set to a low number to save resources when alt-tabbing. I use low latency mode on to reduce input lag. Power management mode set to prefer maximum performance. Preferred refresh rate. Make sure this is set to highest available for smooth gameplay. Vertical sync off, then click apply and close. Now that we've optimized our Windows and 3D settings, let's look at how we can increase visibility using monitor settings. So first, I open up the NVIDIA control panel again, go to adjust desktop color settings. I don't use any post effects, as some of you asked in my latest factory killing streamers video why my game was so clear on factory. The answer? I rely solely on desktop color settings to make my game as competitive as possible. So for day settings, I use 1.4 for gamma, contrast 52% and vibrance 80%. And for night raids and factory, my settings are gamma max, contrast 62% and vibrance still 80%. The trick here is to treat gamma as a slider, adjusting it based on your environment. During daytime raids, lower gamma helps bring out more definition, while maxing it for darker maps like Factory makes spotting enemies way easier. Once you've found a balance, tweak contrast and vibrance to smooth out any washed out visuals. For those of you who own an AMD GPU, you can also change your gamma settings, and here's where to find them. Before launching Tarkov, go into the launcher settings. Go to launcher settings here. I always make sure exit launcher is checked when the game is running. Also, clear your cache and delete logs from the logs folder often to keep things running smoothly. Let's move to the in-game settings. I don't use auto RAM cleaner or physical cores here. I turn head bobbing to the lowest value. FOV is personal preference. I recommend playing at your native resolution. Set texture quality based on your PC's power. High or medium is fine. I own a 40 series NVIDIA card, so I use I. The next two settings are an easy way to get a lot more FPS. Object LOD quality controls how detailed distant objects appear in Tarkov. The higher the setting, the more detailed distant objects like trees and buildings become, but at the cost of performance, especially for CPU-bound systems. For example, at maximum LOD, trees will appear higher quality, but this impacts both CPU and GPU performance. I like to balance this by setting it to 2.5, which gives a good visual compromise without too much strain on my system. If I'm playing on demanding maps like Streets, I switch to what I call the Freak It We Ball mode, lowering LOD to its minimum for a huge FPS boost. Overall visibility determines how far objects like trees and buildings will pop into view, with values ranging from 400 to 3000 meters. On maps like Woods, you can easily see objects popping in as you decrease visibility. While this setting doesn't have a big performance impact in most cases, I like to keep it around 1000, as you don't usually need to see that far. When I need maximum performance, I drop both LOD and visibility to their minimums, just like I said for Streets. I set clouds quality to high, as it doesn't really affect performance for me. Anti-aliasing is personal choice. DLSS is off, FSR off, sampling 1x off, HBOA off, SSR off. If you want some nice water reflection details, SSR can be turned on for not that much of a performance hit. Filtering off, and I set reflex to on. If you need an FPS boost for Streets, you can check this here. For post effects, clarity and adaptive sharpen are the only post effects options that might lower your FPS, especially if your system is bottlenecked, so keep that in mind. I personally don't use post effects. For sound, I use binaural audio, and for stash management, I use a loot transfer macro on my keyboard. Here's how it's set up. So my F3 keys is bound to a macro, which is pressing left control and clicking a bunch of times, and this is repeat while pressed. And I have another one that's pretty much the same thing except for left shift and a bunch of clicks again to transfer to my sorting table. So this will make your stash management a lot quicker in Tarkov, because we all know how much time we spend in our stash. So for example, here I'm gonna press F6, hold it down, and now my stash is perfect. For keybinds, I use a double bind using my mouse software. So these two keys will be pressed when I hit mouse 4. When I go to Tarkov settings, notice the discard is set here, and also shoulder transition is set to quote. So when I go here, mouse 4, swap shoulder, and I can also discard very quickly. There are a few hardware upgrades you should prioritize. I've included my specific setup in the description, but here's what you need to focus on for the best performance. As a disclaimer, I know hardware is very expensive and I consider myself privileged to afford these upgrades. This section highlights what hardware had a huge impact on FPS and visibility for me, but don't feel pressured to invest in Tarkov. First, upgrade your CPU. Tarkov is heavily CPU dependent, so if you're going AMD, I highly recommend the Ryzen 7800X 3D. If you prefer Intel, aim for at least the i9-12900K for optimal results. Next, you'll want to have 32 gigs of RAM, especially if you're planning to play on Streets. This is essential for a smoother experience and avoiding stutters. Don't forget to turn on XMP for your RAM. This is a crucial step that many people forget, but it helps unlock your RAM's full potential. To enable XMP, you'll need to access your BIOS. If you're not sure how, just search how to turn on XMP on YouTube along with your motherboard model for a quick tutorial. Running Tarkov on an NVMe SSD will drastically reduce loading times and improve overall performance. So this is another upgrade that's well worth it. Lastly, once your system is set up and performing well, consider investing in a high refresh rate monitor. A 144Hz or higher monitor will make your gameplay smoother and more responsive. So prioritize these upgrades and you'll see a significant boost in both FPS and overall performance in Tarkov. I'm giving away a free shirt for my new merch drop. To be eligible, just hit that subscribe button. Upgrade your game and your wardrobe at the same time.